It's spelled Scrotym. I said to every substitute teacher for 12 years. My father wanted to honor his two brothers Scott and Tim, so he combined their names and gave it to me. He thought it was beautiful and unique, and he was so proud of himself that he put it on my birth certificate before my mother even woke up from the anesthesia. She screamed at him in the hospital room and he said, "What's the problem? It sounds like a Greek goddess." She said, "Say it out loud slowly." He said, "Scrotum, scrotum." I don't hear it. She said, "You're a complete idiot." But it was too late and he refused to change it because Uncle Scott had promised $10,000 to any niece or nephew named after him. My mother begged him for years. She said, "I will pay you $10,000 out of my own pocket just to change it." He said, "It's not about the money anymore. It's about family. It's about honor." She said, "Our daughter is going to be destroyed by this name." He said, "You're being dramatic." The first few years were fine because I was too young to know and other kids were too young to read. My mother called me Scotty at home and I thought that was my real name. Then I started kindergarten and the teacher said, "Scrotum? Is there a scrotum here?" The other kids didn't know what it meant yet, but they knew it sounded funny. They started calling me Scrotum immediately just because it rhymed. I came home crying and my father said, "Kids are cruel about everything. If your name was Jennifer, they'd find something else to pick on." By third grade, the boys figured it out. One of them learned the word in an older brother's health textbook and came to school the next day screaming, "Scrotum's name means ball sack." I wanted to die right there on the playground. I came home sobbing and begged my father to let me change it. He said, "Absolutely not. Uncle Scott would be devastated." I said, "I don't care about Uncle Scott." He said, "Watch your mouth. That money is paying for your college." I said, "I don't want to go to college. I want a normal name." He said, "You'll thank me when you're older." Middle school was a complete nightmare. Every substitute teacher, every coach, every new person was another humiliation. I developed a system where I would sprint to the classroom before the bell and tell the teacher, "Please just call me Scotty. Please, I'm begging you." Most of them understood when they saw the panic in my eyes, but some of them didn't. One substitute in 7th grade thought I was being dramatic and said, "I'm going to call you by your legal name, young lady." "Scrotum? Where is Scrotum?" The entire class exploded with laughter. I ran out and hid in the bathroom for 2 hours. The school called my father and he said, "She needs to toughen up. The real world is harder than middle school." I started telling people my name was an old family name from Eastern Europe. I said it meant strength in some dead language. Some people believed me. Most didn't. A boy named Wesley made it his personal mission to tell every single person I met. He would walk up to strangers and say, "Did you know her name is Scrotum? Like a ball sack?" I asked my father to homeschool me. He said, "Running away from problems doesn't solve them." I said, "This isn't a problem. This is torture." He said, "You're being dramatic." High school, I just stopped talking completely. I wore headphones everywhere and didn't make friends. Every time someone new learned my name, I watched their face change. First confusion, then realization. Then they either laughed or looked at me with pity. I don't know which one was worse. I applied to colleges using just my initials. One of them flagged my application because my legal documents didn't match. I had to call the admissions office and spell out my full legal name to a stranger on the phone. She was quiet for a very long time and then said, "I'm so sorry, honey." I said, "Me too." The day I turned 18, I went to the courthouse alone. I had saved up $300 from my part-time job to pay the filing fee myself. I changed my name to Mila Scott Martinez. When I got home, my father was furious. He said, "You just threw away $10,000. I said, "No, I threw away the worst 18 years of my life." He said, "Uncle Scott is never going to forgive you for this." I said, "Uncle Scott can spell out his own name next time." He said, "I did this for you." I said, "You did this to me. There's a difference." I called Uncle Scott myself that night. I said, "I changed my name and I'm sorry if that hurts you, but I need you to understand what I went through." He was quiet for a long moment and then he said, "Sweetheart, what are you talking about?" I said, "The name, Scrotum. Dad said you wanted someone named after you." He said, "What? I've never even liked my name. Why would I want to pass it on? And I definitely never asked anyone to combine my name with Tim's. That's completely insane. Who would do that to a child?" I hung up and looked at my father. He wouldn't meet my eyes. There was never any money. He just thought Scrotum was a beautiful name and couldn't admit he was wrong.